That's great. That's the love of my life. Lynn just let me know we're running up to 19 minutes or so. Just kind of, and what I've noticed is people just deleting on the back of the camera and they're out in the street. They're looking at a wee tiny thumbnail. And if you wouldn't dream of doing it when you had a loop, don't delete your images until you at least get onto the computer, see them at the full res. And even then, you know, if you're looking at two, people say, oh, it's a memory, it's getting used up. Just don't delete it right away, willy-nilly, when you're on the street, because they say you generally don't know what you've got on that until you see that in full frame. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree? What do you think?
I would agree with Sean to a certain point. I mean, first of all, when you're with a digital camera, you'll maybe take the first 10 shots just to get the exposure, to check that everything's all right. And those shots I would delete, that they're just sort of shot randomly. Once I start whatever job I'm doing, or whatever subject matter I'm photographing, yes, I would keep the stuff until I get back home and put it on the computer. Because a lot of times you don't really appreciate what you've got until you look at the screen. You don't know who's in the image, you don't know.
Something you wouldn't have seen with your eyes, somebody in the background maybe picking a nose or something like that.
Yeah, and every photograph's important to somebody else. My advice would be, if you're out using a camera, download the images, get a good filing system where you can find your stuff again. Okay. I haven't quite mastered that yet myself. I'm archiving a collection of like 500,000 negatives for Belfast Exposed, and I've done a really good job in the sense that I can look at the scanned digital image, walk across the room and find that negative within 10 seconds. So that's the foundation.
What is the overall purpose of that archive? And it's just to get them digitised so that people...
Well, the whole purpose of the archive is to preserve the collection.
Okay.
By making it digital, it means the original negatives are going to be handled less. Less people need access to them. So it's preservation. That's the first thing. Second thing is a system. Once I've got that negative scanned and I've got a digital image from the actual negative, I can look at the digital image on the computer and walk across to the system, the archival system where the original negatives are, and find that one negative of the 500,000. I can find the negative. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is to work out the history of the individual images, where it was taken, who took the photograph, what stories are around that. Okay. To get in contact with the original photographers, because I want them to have the same pleasure that I have looking at this work from 15 years ago. Some of the earliest work, there's work there from 1978 to 79, 35 years ago, and it's to make it accessible to the public. It's the whole ethos of Belfast Exposed. This work should be made accessible to the public, because it's not just about...
It's good to do it at this moment in time rather than leave their 100 years time and then the people are still alive and they want to see...
Yeah, well, people can see it, because it's not just about the work that the photographer took, it's about the people in the photographs. I want, where possible, to maybe meet some of the people in the photograph. Where are they now? What were they doing in that image? What was the event? What was their story? What was their take on it? So when you build up an archive, it's to tell that story. And yes, it's valuable knowing the date it was taken, what the subject matter was, and who took the image. But beyond that, it's the stories of the people that were in those photographs, and piecing all that information together and making it accessible to the public.
When I done the Facebook page, my Facebook page, I started uploading the photographs that had taken over, as I say, it's 1986, and the kids and the people who's in the photographs, there was kids there that probably were 5 years of age, 6 years of age, and they're now grown men and women with their own kids, and they've actually reached out and they've said, look, that's me, or that's my brother, or that's my... And that feeling of reuniting, it's like what you're saying there, it's, and I've always said this here, when we're taking photographs, we're capturing the present so those in the future can look back at the past. Yes, when we're taking a photograph, we're capturing this moment in time, and it's very important to do that. But let's not lose sight of the value of that photograph. If you're just taking a photograph for the sake of taking it, you're not doing yourself justice, you're not doing the person in this thing justice. But if you're taking a photograph and saying, you know what, I'm recording history here, and maybe in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, or 50 years' time, or 100 years' time, people will be looking back at your photographs. And certainly I've seen it, and Sean has seen it, because the young lad contacted me about the Superman
Oh yeah, the Superman photograph.
Standing, and some kid contacted me probably a year ago, and he said, "Did you take a photograph of me standing with the wall?" And said something like the IRA at Weetabix or something.
Was it RUC Beware? The IRA have had their Weetabix.
That's it.
It was a take on from an advertisement from the television, and I think that was
the kid was standing, and he told me, he described the photograph, and in my mind I said, "No, I know I didn't take that photograph, but I thought it was Sean's," and I said, "Well, I'd contact Sean McKernan. I'm no longer living in Belfast at this moment in time." So I said, "Contact Sean McKernan, and if he didn't take it, he'll know someone who took it." And it was one of your photographs. I think that had contacted you.
Yeah, the young fella contacted me. I think at the time he was 7 years of age. This was 1987, 88. Wow. So the young fella was like in his mid-30s, you know. I think he was working as a chef, and managed to get him a copy of the print, you know. So that's one of the joys of photography, where you can revisit the past, catch up with people.
I think that's why your photographs are so important, so, and it's so well received, and it's well received from everywhere. And if you think about what you've done, creating Belfast Exposed, I know you touched my life. You certainly taught me, and Stephen Mullen, and I know Frankie Quinn's already taken photos. But through Belfast Exposed, you must have helped by creating Belfast Exposed, brought hundreds of, maybe 1,000 odd photographers.
Well, over the years,
over the years,
I would say.
What did you say? Thousands?
Well, I would say at least a couple of thousand and more individual photographers.
Well, if I've taught over 500 photographers now as a result of you teaching. So basically, it's not just me you've taught. You've actually created a monster with me. I then teach other people, and it spreads out. So you must.
Oh yeah, I mean there is a ripple effect. I mean, there's been, we had always had at least maybe 10 permanent photographers, either on a volunteer basis. Through the ACE scheme, government ACE scheme, which is a part-time employment scheme.
You give me a job in the dark room.
You had a part-time job in the dark room. Was it £54.50 a week? I think you're due a taxi bit, Sean.
But that was my introduction into dark room, and I became a very good dark room printer as a result of Belfast Exposed. So it's like
apart from the individual photographers, we done. I think during that period, from 1983 up to 2000. We have probably done workshops as, I would say, about 150 individual community groups, where, for example, we would go out to the likes of Beachmount Community House, do a project with that specific community to document what was going on at the time, whatever issues they had. Could be housing, it could be problems with community development, job creation, new houses being built, whatever the issues that concern that group at the time, we would have provided them the equipment, the material, and the finance to produce an exhibition. And all those workshop books are now in the archive. So there alone, there's probably a couple of thousand people who were involved in those projects, And quite a lot of these people would approach me in the street and ask about, "Sean, remember that project you done? Photographs we've taken. It's a project still going on. Can we have access to the negatives? Can we have access to the work?" And that's what I'm enjoying about doing the archival work.
Brilliant.
Is
you're getting a glimpse back into there. Take a time capsule.
It's a chance for Belfast Exposed, using this valuable archive, to re-engage with those communities from 20 years ago. There's a story to tell. Those issues at the time, have they been achieved? What current concerns have they got? Maybe they want to do another project and bring their grandkids in, bring their children in. So I can't wait till the project's totally archived, and we can set out on the main task of matching up that archive to the people that took them, those many thousands of people. And it's a great opportunity to further develop the archive and introduce new people to community photography.
So through that project, you're concentrating a lot on the past, obviously, because you're archiving it, and you're going to be bringing that into the future. Are you plans to work on any future projects? Like, in other words, we're now in the digital era. I know you're focusing at this moment in time, you're focusing on archiving the stuff, but where do you see the photography, the community photographer in the future? Is there still going to be that, or the need for a community photography group, or do you think there's going to be more digital selfies on Facebook? Do you think photographers are still going to do community photography jobs that you've done before in the future? Or what do you think?
I think there's a definite need for it. You know, society evolves, but people need the medium to highlight, to campaign, to show what's going on in their area. Whether it's a campaign, whether it's a housing group or a women's group or a disability group, they've all still got their challenges. They've all still got their. I mean, we've still got. We've got a new Margaret Thatcher. We have still got a lot of those social problems. It's funny, when I look at the archive, Mark, I'm seeing students protest. Okay. I'm seeing hospital protests.
And you're still seeing them this year too?
I'm seeing protests about prisoners. I'm still seeing protests about the levels of unemployment, social injustice. So even though time's moved on, those issues are still here. And it's a great opportunity to look back and see, how did we tackle these issues 25 years ago? Have things moved on? If they have moved on, how can we replicate that? So it's a great asset, the archive, to go back and re-engage with communities. And there's still a need for community photographers because of what I've just mentioned about those issues are still very current. I mean, there are times I'm looking at the images and it's like, that could have been last week.
No,
you know,
different clothes style, different
clothes, at different time, the same issues.
So if you had any advice for somebody starting out and wanting to either be a photographer or to do the like of social documentary or community photography, what advice would you say to somebody maybe starting out or somebody an established photographer, the importance of it, and what way you would say to them, look, to do it?
Well, the most simplest thing to do is to do it yourself. I mean, you don't need any funding to go and take photographs. What you need is your time and your commitment. So, like for example, if I lived up in Twinbrook and I had an issue about housing, I felt an importance about a specific subject, I would go out and start taking the photographs myself. Then I would try and produce a body of work that would represent what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to highlight. Take that work to your local community centre. You'll probably find there's a local housing group there. There's an advice centre there. You know, there still is a very healthy and a very rich variety of community groups and campaign groups in Belfast. Take your work to them, and maybe they can help access some funding to take it to the next stage, whereby you could do a publication, whereby maybe you could run a training programme and bring other people on board and help them to document that event.
A community photography group themselves,
Go to the local arts groups, go to Belfast Exposed. They've still got the resources to help people do those specific projects. Belfast Exposed is still working on a community remit, working with different various community groups. But the first point of contact is to do it yourself. Go out and take the photographs, build up a body of work, get other people involved, and then go to the local, whatever is the most accessible and relevant community group to do with your area of concern, and bring the idea to them and get them to work with you, because that's what the whole network system
100%.
is about. You know, take it to the people that are going to benefit from it.
You could actually change, you can change a whole community thing, because not everybody's gifted with taking photographs and things like that. So you as a photographer, Sean says, make an approach to these community groups or whatever you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in New York. I'm sure there's something equivalent to like a Belfast Exposed and all around the world. Go and take these photographs, as Sean says, and if it's in your own local area, you're going to be more accepted than like me going over to wherever you're living and trying to get access to it. So you're going to be allowed in. Wee bit of perseverance, let them know that you're doing it. As Sean said earlier on, then archive your thing. Make sure you back up your negatives, or if you're shooting film, make sure that they're kept safe, and pass on that information, that knowledge, because no use be taking photographs and keeping them on your hard drive. I think social media is something fantastic that you can tap in. Every single thing that we've done through our life, we've always contributed to, like the community groups. There's some photographs. If you see a community group that needs, help, and you can do it through your photography, it doesn't cost you nothing, especially now with digital. Email them over some of the photographs and give them a wee bit of help, maybe to use your photograph to help the cause, or whatever it is they're facing. Maybe housing, maybe unemployment, maybe workshops. And don't underestimate the power of the medium of photography. This guy here has changed lives. and your photography will change lives. I know mine has as well, as touched on. I'm not trying to say that as if it's conceited, but the fact of the matter is photography is possibly one of the most powerfulest mediums going. And if you start, as Sean says, get out there and do it instead of just sitting talking about it and about the books, you know. And this is just wonderful for me to actually see this guy here, because I say, generally owe him. I know you could go back, how far back can you go? I could go right back to my parents having sex to give me life, so I could put it down and then I could say their grandparents and bloody blah. But the fact of the matter is that without Sean McKernan and Danny Burke getting Belfast Exposed, a community photography group together, I would not, and I genuinely know that to be a fact, because it taught me, and the photographers that I'd met, great friends like Steve Mullen and Frankie Quinn and the rest, and Mickey Rainey, Mark Tui, McMurray as well. And the amount of friends that I've met and the tips that I've got from people, and there's so many. But without this guy here doing it and following through on it, I genuinely would not been sitting here today. And because photography was my lifeline, now back at it again. If you're enjoying my photography, I have to say, and it's not giving all credit to Sean that I haven't taken a photograph, but the fact that I've been giving all the credit to this guy here for starting Belfast Exposed. Danny Burke is in a better place. I know Danny didn't believe in heavens and hell, didn't he? But Danny's around us anyway. And anytime I think of my photography, Belfast Exposed, it's Sean McKernan, so I owe him that. And I'll never, you know, and this is all I really want to do, brother.
Well, I really appreciate, thank you very much, Sean. I haven't seen Sean in about 15 years. And thanks to social media, I just came across him on Facebook. And I often wondered what happened to Sean, because Sean was one of the very early photographers in Belfast Exposed. And he was there for a lot of years during the 80s. And 15 years later, to realise that Sean, he came across his negatives. His family sent him down to Belfast. He's re-engaging with his passion for photography. His outlook on photography is so refreshing. It's very, very refreshing. His work that he has taken during the 80s, I forgot how good of a photographer Sean was. And to see his work, and to see how he tells the stories around why he was taking them, where they were taken, like the whole incident up in Milltown with the funeral and the Michael Stone that you brought the three. It's great to see you back at it. I thoroughly enjoyed the little walk around Belfast the other day with the other photographers.
If you're not familiar with that, check that video up there. It was fantastic.
But I must say, it's an inspiration to see Sean back taking photographs again, and I'm looking forward. We'll not leave it for another 15 years.
No, you're talking. Get it.
All right.
Guys, listen, thank you very much. This is just a magical. I'm going to wrap this up. Guys, sending you love from Belfast, and I'm going to put all the links down below, and check him out, and check out Sean McKernan, and listen to what he says, because this guy here, he's a wealth of information, knowledge, and part of history. He's part of the Belfast fabric now, and what he's doing with Belfast Exposed, and what he did with Belfast Exposed, what he's currently doing with Belfast Exposed, is something that we're all going to appreciate. And those in the future is going to look back, and it's going to be down to this guy here, what he did when he started Belfast Exposed and what he's currently doing now, and the images he's going to create. And thanks very much for your support.
Not a problem. Good to see you.
Guys, listen, send you love from Ireland, and I say if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. You can check me out on Twitter and on Facebook, also ramblesfromthecamera.com, and all the links are down below, and know that I'm sending you love from Ireland. See you later.
All right, Sean.
That's brilliant, brother.